So, guys, I hope everybody is well. Now, I have got all the space that I need, so I shouldn't have any problems like that now for a while. But what a day it was, you know, this social media crash. Very interesting. So, I decided to tell you something about the communication lines when I was much younger. Now, when WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook went down today, I guess a lot of people were just nonplussed because that is how they communicate. Well, I discovered that these platforms had been down from last night or early evening, but it never affected everywhere at the same time because I had WhatsApp up until about noon today. And then I discovered that mine wasn't working. I thought it was because I had inserted an SD card in my phone and I had flipped around the the SIM cards. So I thought that was what was affecting it, but no. A couple of persons called to find out if I were able to access WhatsApp, and I couldn't. And I got a message from Flow to say that I would be getting some new settings and I had to accept it. And then when I called the number that they gave me, the first thing that the gentleman said was, if you're calling about WhatsApp, it's a global outage. So no reason to wait for the agent. And then I went to Google and discovered that that was what was happening. So yeah, we were out of our favorite and major social media platforms for some a few hours, in other places a lot longer than just a few hours. Anyways, as I was thinking, I'm saying to myself, the mode of communication has changed drastically, and people are just out of sorts when they can't communicate via Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and the other ones. I don't know what happened on Signal and Telegram today, because those are the other ones that we were planning on using when WhatsApp was messing around. But I remember as a child growing up, we never had the cell phone. Where I lived in the country, we never had the telephone like that in our district. So we relied on letters. And I was saying to my girlfriend today how when we used to go to the post office in the days, it used to be, like an occasion, because we'd comb our hair and dress up and go to the post office. Sometimes it used to be hilarious when we went to the post office because the post missus knew most of us. So when we had to wait in line, and then when we got to the counter to ask whether there was any letters, sometimes she already knew that there wasn't anything there because she had already gone through and put in her letters where they were supposed to be placed. And you went up to the counter and she said nothing. And then everybody heard when she said nothing and they laughed at you. We used to have a good time as children. So sometimes you went to the post office and you would get a green slip, and that would mean that you have registered mail. It means you're going to get money. So you would fill out the form and you returned it to her, and she'd give you your envelope and you got your money in. Sometimes you'd get a white slip and it means that you'd get a parcel. So somebody from the States would be sending you something, and you'd have to go to the bigger post office further away to collect the parcel. Anyways, so that is how we used to communicate a lot, via letters. I used to look forward to getting letters. I had pen pals, my aunts, my cousins, and stuff like that. It used to be really something that we looked forward to. And we just never worried about anybody being dead or anything, or we don't know where anybody is and how things are going, because we get our letters frequently and stuff. And also, if anybody died now, when you would get very nervous is that you hear that a telegram is coming for you. So the man came with the telegram, and when you get the telegram now, some people start to bawl even before they open the telegram, because a telegram means that somebody has died. I think it would come in a brown envelope and a pink slip you would read, and it would say so and so has died and stuff like that. Boy, those were the days. And also, as time drew on and the telephone became more prevalent in other places, people had telephones. But the thing is that some people never had a telephone of their own. It used to be a party line. So my neighbor and I, perhaps, or somebody much further away would, what am I saying further? Farther away would share a line with you. So for instance, you're in your house and you want to make a phone call and you pick up the phone. And you pick up the phone, you hear a conversation. You have to put it back down because it means that the other party is using the phone. And sometimes it brings a quarrel because sometimes one person is just so selfish, not thinking about the other person wanting to use the phone, and they're on the phone chatting for a long time and you want to use the phone, and so sometimes somebody will pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down, and the other person gets upset and stuff like that. So that was how it used to be. It's like you have a phone half and half. Party line, it used to be called. And then you had the kiosks on the street where you would go and you would put in your money and you would call the operator and you would tell the operator that you needed to make a call. Like for instance, it might be a collect call, meaning if it's a collect call, the person who's receiving the call is the one who would pay for the call. And the operator would connect with that person and said, you have a collect call from so and so, and they would say yes, they'll take the call, and you would have your conversation. Or they would say no, they're not willing to take the call. You can't get to talk to them because they're not willing to pay for the call. So you have to come out of there. Oh my goodness. And go your way. Because the people are taking the call. Forgive me. And sometimes when you went to the kiosk in the evening, there's a long line, like all on a Sunday evening. And people want to talk to their loved ones. And they wait in the line. And somebody in there humming the phone and chatting and can't come off. And then quarrel breaks out in the line out there because they're being selfish and not considering the other people who are out there waiting to make a call. So sometimes what some people do is, like for instance, they go in there and they talk to whomever they're calling for a little bit of time, and then they come back and join the line again and go back and call and then come back out and join the line to finish the conversation. Sometimes when they're in there talking, the operator would say, you have 1 minute remaining. Please put in so much money, and then you'd have to put in some more money. So you have to go to the kiosk with quite a few coins, you know, because remember it only takes coins. And you go there with your coins and you make the call, and you run out and you go back and you get some money, or they give you time to put in the money. Like for instance, if she says you have a minute left, please insert 50 cents, then you get the time to put in your 50 cents and the conversation continues. So that was how it used to be until the cell phone came. And then when the cell phone came, if I have a cell phone and I call you and you have a cell phone, I have to pay and you have to pay. So both parties have to pay. A lot of people were not happy with that because they're saying, don't call me because I'm going to have to pay, and I'm not into that. Because, you know, we're not accustomed to both people paying at the same time. You should have seen those phones when they just came. Big. I don't even know if I have anything here that is as big as those phones used to be. And then after the time went by and the phones started to change, I noticed that if you have a big phone like the smartphones now, people laugh at you and call you saying that you have a fridge. And I'm saying, what if some people had seen these big phones? I remember one of my bosses had one of those phones. He got the phone and he got it today, and he was so excited, and he went someplace and forgot it on his car and drove off, and it fell off the car. And some guys were around and they found it. And listen to me, those phones were expensive at the time. And he went back and he was so upset. But happily, he eventually got back the phone. And so they morphed into something that you can just hold in your hand. At a point in time, they had some tiny ones that you could actually hold in your hand, and maybe somebody would only see the little antenna. They were so small. And they have just morphed into things. And because they used to have the button pads, and now all you can see is a touch screen. And when they were changing around, and some people had the button phones and some had the touch screen, people laugh at you, you know, if you have a button phone and you don't have a touch screen. And the phones used to be so expensive, you know. But like I say, things have changed so much. And a lot of you who are so young wouldn't know where we're coming from with these phones. I remember my girlfriend told me about this man in Halfway Tree in the bank, NCB in Halfway Tree. I don't know whether he had stolen the phone, whether somebody had given it to him, whether he found it or whatever. But he was in there with the phone because that just come on the top of his voice having a conversation, and the phone rang while he was having this conversation. So clearly he didn't know how to use it, or he hadn't called anybody or whatever. He was just having a conversation as though somebody had called him. And because the phones were so rare, he felt so good. So he was having a conversation and the phone rang. Well, let me tell you, I don't need to tell you that the bank turned upside down. Yeah. So those are some of the things that happened back then. So now we have our social media, and we just take it for granted because we can always use Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, and there are some of them out there that I don't even know. And you have YouTube that you can go to watch movies and stuff like that. So you think that we're coming from an era that sounds boring and all of that. But we used to have fun. And I used to look forward to getting letters and stuff like that. But just to let you know where we're coming from in terms of communication. So I just wondered what we would do now if the social media platforms were to go down, like for even a week. How would you manage? What would you do? You know, how would you get along? Let me tell you something. That is just something to think about. But guys, I just thought I would share that with you, and you ruminate on it and see what you would do. Perhaps if you'd like, let me know what you would do if you were out of these communication media for, let's say, a week. Yeah, what would you do? Well, thanks for listening. Have a good one. And please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment if you will. And I'll see you next time when I talk to you again. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. Bye.